Hi, everyone, and welcome to Coffee with a Career Coach. I am back. I was absent a couple weeks ago. I got my second vaccine. Super excited, but I was a little down for the count for a day. So, thank you to Eric and Matthew, who did an awesome job. It was super fun watching them. Today, I have Sophie with me, and she's going to introduce herself, but she's one of the regulars as well. We are going to talk a little bit about summer because that's coming up so soon. I know you guys are all looking forward to summer break. Maybe some of you are graduating, which is really exciting and I know a little bit scary. Summer and make sure that you're really keeping up with your career development over the summer. So we are going to talk a little bit about that. I'm Erica O'Toole, Assistant Director in the Career Development Center. I work with our College of Education and Human Services and our Global Campus students. And as always, I am drinking my coffee in a mug that you guys haven't seen again because of my crazy amount of mugs I own. And the past few times I have brought in my Rae Dunn mugs, which is my collection. So this is another one from my collection of Rae Dunn. But I am drinking Cinnabon creamer today in my coffee, which is really, really good. My husband bought it, and I am not one to buy the Cinnabon kind, but it is delicious. So my mug says Mom Life because I have a 2-year-old toddler, which is the reason I probably consume most of the coffee that I do. So, but keeps me on my toes, and I love him very much. So, one thing I wanted to talk about is some summer plans, but I'm going to let Sophie go ahead and introduce herself, and then we'll share that with you.
Hey everybody, my name's Sophie. I've been on here a couple times so far since this began last year. It's crazy to think it's been that long, but I'm another one of the assistant directors in the office. I work with the College of Business and then the College of Arts and Media students. I've been here about a year now, so really exciting heading into summer again. Today for my coffee, I am just regular coffee, but then the creamer I have in there is coconut, which
Ooh.
I've discovered at Meijer, and it's really tasty if you're a coconut person. And the mug I have says ski forever, work whenever. I was a ski racer growing up, downhill ski racer, and I'm a big thrift store goer, and I found this at the thrift store and I couldn't resist buying it. So that is the mug and coffee that I have today.
So awesome. And I love hearing that about you because not something that I would have ever known if you wouldn't have told me. So fun that you we're so into skiing. So for anyone joining us, as usual, please tell us what type of coffee you're drinking because we love hearing about that. But we also thought it'd be fun since summer is coming up if we shared a fun summer plan that we have coming up. So I wanted to share, we just bought a new camper. So we had like a 10-year-old pop-up camper that we tried to fix up, and we did. It was really fun. It was pretty cute, but it was kind of on its last leg. So super excited. We bought a new camper. Sophie's seen it. And I am so excited to go camping. So our first trip is Memorial Day weekend. I don't know how many of you guys go camping out there, but that's kind of it's the beauty of living in Michigan, right? Like so cool that we can go so many different places in our state and see so many different things. Like I remember I went to Pictured Rocks and it felt like I was like in the Caribbean or something. It's beautiful. So so excited to go camping this summer. So I'll pass it over to Sophie because she has like a real trip planned and very soon. So I'll let her discuss that.
Yeah, so my older sister is graduating from U of M Law School in about a week. So that's really exciting. And we've decided to kind of go on a trip in celebration of that. So we are headed to the Smoky Mountains for about a week. So we're going to be doing some camping as well, some hiking. We actually have some whitewater rafting planned. So I'm really excited. I haven't been like on a vacation for a couple years now. So I'm excited to kind of have that time away, celebrate her graduation. We have a couple friends coming as well. So I think that will be a really exciting trip that I get to go on.
So awesome. I'm excited for you. I can't wait to hear about it. Okay, so today, the main goal of today is to really talk about how to build your resume over the summer, right? And we're not here to talk to you and lecture you about working all summer and all that, but how can you make the most out of your summer? Obviously, have fun, travel, get all that good resting time in, take care of yourself, but at the same time, make sure that you are still working on your resume. So Sophie and I have some questions prepared. As always, please ask questions throughout if you have them. But I'm going to go ahead and get us started out. So question, and we can kind of both answer this one, but what are some things that students could be doing this summer to build their resume?
Yeah, so one thing to definitely jump on would be some volunteer activities. That is a really great resume builder. It's kind of something that shows that you're doing more than just, going to class and maybe having a job. You're doing that extra step of volunteering, giving your time to somebody else. So look within your community, see if there's any groups that you can get involved in. Maybe it's with your church, maybe it's with the soup kitchen. I know here in Mount Pleasant, we have Clothing Inc. So really great opportunities. Sometimes in the summer, you have a little bit more extra time. I mean, depending on if you're maybe working the whole summer, you might not. But if you're somebody who just has like a part-time job, you might have extra time to devote to volunteering. And that would be a really great thing to be able to then list on your resume once you're done.
And employers love to see volunteer work. So, I mean, that can be a whole separate category on your resume that literally says volunteer experience. And that can be a huge part of something that employer says, oh, wow, they really value volunteer experience. And that's something we value at our organization. So that can be a huge selling point for yourself.
Yeah. And then another thing you can do if you are someone who needs to be working, making that money, is getting a job related to your field. So let's just say you're going into child development. Maybe you try to get a job at like a daycare or like a camp over the summer, something like that, summer program, anything like that would be great experience. Another example would be like if you're going into outdoor recreation, kind of getting a job at like a campground or like something local like that. So if you're somebody who needs to be working all the time, best case scenario is you get a job related to your field so that you're getting that experience that's going to, give you that experience for when you graduate and want to enter into that field.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that that's such great advice. Even if it's not like a career type job, even any part-time work that's a little bit related to what you want to go into can be super beneficial.
Yeah. And then let's just say, maybe it's not in the cards for you to get a job super related to your field. Any job and work experience that you can get is going to be beneficial because you're going to learn those transferable skills, like communication, collaboration, taking initiative on things. All of those skills employers look for also. So anything really that you're doing this summer to get involved work-wise, getting those skills that are going to transfer into the workplace is going to be, some great experience that you can add to your resume.
Yeah, Sophie, I love that you mentioned that because I think so many students take on a position in their hometown and maybe they've had this part-time job for a long time in like retail or even like food service or something like that. And they think like this can't transfer into anything I'm doing, but it does. And so many of those skills that you mentioned are skills that they're going to need in their future careers. And so even if you're kind of struggling with how that can translate to a future career, that's something that we can then help you with on your resume.
100%.
So, Sophie, another thing that I know a lot of students struggle with or kind of want to participate in, but don't really know how to. So they've heard of the term informational interviewing, but don't really know how that could be beneficial. So could you talk a little bit about that?
Right. So obviously you can research different careers online, kind of gather information about what they might be like. But the best way to learn about a career field or what it might be like to work there is to talk to somebody who actually, has that occupation or is in that career field. So it's kind of an informal conversation with somebody in that field where you can, ask different questions and see what it's like to maybe work there. So the title says interviewing, but it's not like an like a formal interview between you and them. They're not interviewing you. You're kind of just asking them questions. It's not something that's used to find jobs. However, you might be able to make that network connection with them, and then that might lead to a job down the road. But for the purpose of like the actual interview, that's It's kind of just an informal conversation. So you can find out things like the different career paths in that field, how you might prepare for that career in the field. And then again, like I said, that relationship down the line, might lead to something. You just never know who you meet and how they might help you down the road. So making those connections early on with people in your field is going to be really beneficial. So the best way to find people, to do the informational interviews with, start with your local network. So like your friends, your family, professors, coworkers. Maybe you have a coworker whose dad is an occupational therapist. You kind of ask them like, hey, he be willing to let me shadow? So kind of use your local personal network first, because that's going to give you some good opportunities, hopefully. But if you don't know anybody, who is able to connect you to the career field that you're looking for, you can also look on LinkedIn. There is a way to search for alumni on there, and you can look in your area and see anything. You can also look for different companies within the area and then see if anybody there would be willing to talk to you. So informal conversation, but really can get you some inside knowledge on what the career field might be, what it's like to work there, work-life balance in that career, what steps there are to move up. So different things that you can ask them kind of in an informal conversation.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing is like what it's like to work there, right? We go to career fairs, we have interviews with employers, but to actually ask somebody in the field who really doesn't have any reason to tell you differently about what it's like to work there is so essential to really understand that job. And so I think that is such a big part of why the informational interview can be so beneficial to you.
Okay. So Erica, a little bit like that kind of leads into our next question about networking. So what are some ways that students can build their network over the summer, like while they're home?
Definitely. So I think sometimes being home can, while it's awesome, because obviously you get to be home with your family, you get to see friends you haven't seen in a long time, it can also feel kind of isolating from the means of like networking, professional networking. And so some different things that you can do depending on where you're at. If you're in, an area where maybe it's close to a larger city, or even sometimes smaller cities as well have these. The first thing you can do is look up if your area has like a young professional network. That's something that I've attended in the Mount Pleasant area. We do have a young professional network here. And I know it's hard with COVID, but there are some online things that you could attend. But that's one way to keep your professional networking up. I attended one of those, and although there weren't other people in career development, I made so many connections outside of that helped me. It was so interesting because, for instance, one of the people I met was in event management within a hotel chain. And I ended up using them, well, not using them, but working with them to create an event for the Career Development Center. So I ended up using that connection later on, and they weren't even in my field, right? So it's interesting about how those connections can help you, and just having those community connections. I think any of the connections you're really making while you're at home counts as networking, right? So even like, doing those informational interviews, or if you can get into job shadowing, or in your part-time work, meeting people within that counts as networking as well. But I think a big part right now during COVID and in this time where we can't do a lot of in-person networking, LinkedIn is going to be a huge outlet for you. So if you haven't met with someone in the Career Development Center yet on how to utilize LinkedIn, I think that's a huge thing. So we have appointments all summer. So, you go home for the summer and you have this time off, but we're here over the summer and we're more than happy to meet with you. So this is actually a really good opportunity because, you don't have classes going on and things like that. So you have maybe a little bit more opportunity to meet with one of us. And we have our same availability. So meet with one of us, talk through how you can best network, maybe in your area, but maybe even outside of that within your industry, and really use this summer to network as much as you can. I think that using LinkedIn right now is huge because, we're not necessarily able to do everything in person, but to expand that online network is such a big portion of that. And just as an example, we've had students before use LinkedIn and connect with people from Google and then have coffee with them. And that just always sticks out in my head because if we can reach people and alumni at Google, I feel like we can reach anyone, right? Like Google seems like that company that's unreachable. So if we can reach them, we can reach people. So that would be my biggest key for that.
Yeah, I totally agree. Networking, super important. Someone told me in graduate school, it's not about who you know, it's about who knows you. So you could think, well, I know this person, I met them, a couple times, but if you don't make that lasting impression on them, then they're not going to be able to remember you and talk about you and be a network reference for you. So yeah, definitely making those connections is really important.
Absolutely. So, Sophie, we talked about informational interviewing, but on the flip side, and I know job shadowing is kind of hard right now, but for those who are able to do a job shadow, how do they go about trying to do one of those?
Yeah, so this is going to be really similar to kind of the informational interviewing I talked about. So first step with job shadowing is kind of, again, your personal network, friends, family, coworkers, professors, anybody that you know that you might be able to talk to and, find some type of person to job shadow. I know I did a little bit of job shadowing, and that kind of really helped me decide what I wanted to do. I did some social work shadowing. I did some occupational therapy shadowing. Shadowing is a really good way to determine if the work that person does is something that you would be interested in doing. So shadowing really helped me kind of guide my path in education. So really important. So start with that, personal network first. If you're not finding anybody through that, research companies in your area, wherever it is that you're located, research some companies, see if there's any that, are in your career field or something that you might want to go into, and reach out to those companies. Once you, hopefully locate some type of job shadowing opportunity, that's when you just really want to make sure you're making the most of it. So dressing professional when you go there, make sure you have lots of questions to ask them so you can really get a good idea of what it is that they do, what their day-to-day is like. Obviously you won't be writing those thank you notes because again, like job shadowing, and again, that's another network connection that might be able to help you down the road. So making that really good impression in all these things that you're doing, the volunteering, the informational interviewing, networking, job shadowing, like all that stuff, really important to make that good first impression so that they're going to remember you down the road. So like I said, job shadowing really gave me a good idea of what I wanted to do. So I highly encourage people, especially who are unsure maybe if a career is right for them, that would be a great opportunity to job shadow. And even if you're set on, I know I want to do this career, it still is good to get that firsthand experience. And because, you can only know so much through school and kind of like the internet. So getting that firsthand experience from somebody in the field is going to be really important to help you determine if it's something that you might want to do.
Absolutely. 100% agree. Job shadowing is like the best way to know if you actually want to do that. Like informational interviewing, great. But if you are on the job and you are actually doing something with that person, that's the best way to know, do I want to do this?
For sure. So other things that they can do to kind of stay connected with CMU throughout the summer. So like what resources can they take advantage of over the summer, kind of offices to connect with? What can they be doing to still kind of have that connection to CMU over the summer?
Absolutely. So like I mentioned, when you guys go on summer break, we are still here. So we have all our schedules open, we have appointments available, and so do many of the other offices. So it's a great time to set up appointments, maybe when you are a little less stressed about classes and you have more of that time to kind of think through maybe where you want to go with your career path, or maybe have some more time to just kind of think about everything. So one thing I would suggest doing is maybe meeting with one of us to just kind of make sure you're on the right track, make sure you're discussing exactly, where you kind of want to go with everything. Academic advisors, another great person to meet with. They're a little bit busy right now with orientation, but I know that they still have some openings. So talking with one of them, making sure, again, you're all set with your course schedules. Volunteer center, making sure that you check in with things that are going on with the volunteer center, especially if you're going to be in the Mount Pleasant area. I know that they have tons of activities going on all the time. So just keeping in touch with all the academic offices, we say all these services are free to you, but you also pay tuition. So, take advantage of all the services you have at CMU. There's so many of them here for you. And I think it's easy to get caught up during the school year and have a hard time scheduling with any of us because, you're all very busy. You have courses, you have part-time jobs. Some of you might have full-time jobs. And I know being a student is extremely busy. So having that time maybe to breathe a little bit more and be able to schedule some appointments, this is a great time to do that and touch base with some of your student services professionals.
100%. And we are here and ready to help you no matter what stage you are in your career development, freshman through, going into your senior year and beyond. Alumni, you have services for the rest of your life with us. So any stage in your career development, definitely make appointments with us. We are happy to help you work through, different ways that you can advance yourself in the professional world.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. We are so happy to have you today. Good luck for all of you taking exams here coming up. Good luck for all of you winding down the semester. I know this is a very busy time, but again, we are here for all of you. If you're still looking, there's some internship openings still available on Handshake. We are more than happy to help with resumes, with cover letters, with the application process, or just talking things out. If you're kind of panicking or you just need someone to talk to about where your career is headed, we are here for you. So please take advantage of our office. Thank you for joining us. I'd say on this sunny Wednesday, but it has been pretty stormy here. So thank you for joining us for coffee, for both me and Sophie. We appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks. One thing I do want to mention, this Friday, we do have a Coffee and Careers with the Early Childhood program. So if you're interested in that program or you just want to learn more about it, please tune in at noon on Friday. So again, thank you for joining us, and we hope you have a fantastic Wednesday and a great rest of your week. Have a good one.
Thanks, everybody.